going on, boxing fans? It's Kenneth, SBM Boxing. Let's speak boxing. You can visit us on the web at www.sbmboxing.com. Huge fight that took place. Guillermo Rigondeaux defeated Nonito Donaire. A lot of people love it. A lot of people hate it. A lot of people didn't like the fact that it was only about 28 punches average landed per each round. It was more of a technical fight itself, more of a boxing match. I actually enjoyed it. I thought it was a pretty good fight. Now, coming into the fight, I had Nonito Donaire as the favorite, to come in victorious in this fight. I felt like he had the speed, he had the power, he had the capability, he had the experience himself coming in to pull off the victory against Guillermo Rigondeaux. But Guillermo pulled it off. He came out victorious. Now he has the WBO, WBA super bantamweight titles, and he established himself as the best, the absolute best in the world at the 122-pound weight division. Like I said, Nonito Donaire was my favorite to come in into this fight early on, but it was clear as the fight went on, it definitely didn't pan out that way. Now, Nonito Donaire, actually, his 5-year run had a, fighter of the year, had a good year, phenomenal 5-year run going in, win-to-win, back-to-back wins. It ended, where did it end? It ended in New York, Radio City Music Hall by Guillermo Rigondeaux. He scored the via upset unanimous decision, winning in all 3 judges' scorecards. Now, they were wishy-washy on one of them scorecards, 114, 113, which I think was way too close. 115, 112, which I still think it was way too close. 116, 111. There you go. That's more like it. I understand that, Nonito scored the knockdown, so it was a 10-8 round on that one. So, I would say 116, 111 all day. That's a little bit more fair than the 114, 113, 115, 112. I have no idea where them judges came from. But anyways, Guillermo Rigondeaux, he did his job. He did what he had to do. He looked very technical, and he definitely outboxed Nonito Donaire, beat him to the punch, and just worked him, picked him apart to pull off the unanimous decision. Heading into this fight itself, I had Nonito Donaire as his favorite to win because I was really wishy-washy as far as Rigondeaux. I know what Nonito Donaire was bringing to the table. In every single fight, he's looking, when he fought Nishioka, he looked good. He's definitely, every single fight, he's getting better and better. His speed, his power, his endurance is definitely there. His boxing ability is definitely there, and his defense is definitely there. I thought he was going to utilize a better game plan than what he did against Rigondeaux. But the big question was Rigondeaux the truth? Was he real? A lot of people were saying, he had 200, 300, 400. Really, nobody really knows how many amateur fights this guy had. But it's all speculations on that. But he only had less than a dozen professional fights, and that's all that matters. So that was my only concern, and I really didn't see too much in his past fights as far as chins being tested. But that's another thing coming into this fight. Has Guillermo Rigondeaux been tested? I thought, like I said, I'll keep saying it again, I thought literally Donaire was going to come out victorious. I didn't think he was going to knock out Rigondeaux whatsoever. I didn't think he was going to completely knock him out or anything like that. I thought he was going to win by his scorecards, unanimous decision. But it was a complete 180. Rigondeaux pulled it off. But I was questioning Rigondeaux's chin. But, as the fight kept going into the 8th, 7th, 8th, 9th round, the distance, it was definitely question. It wasn't a question anymore. I know he can definitely take Nonito Donaire's power. He did a good hell of a job. Rigondeaux did a hell of a good job controlling the pace of the fight. He kept his distance, used his speed, he used his power, beautiful footwork. He moved in and out, and he was definitely able to beat Donaire to the punch. But in the 10th round, actually, Donaire scored a knockdown coming into the 10th round. In the 10th round, there was, they both got tangled up together. Donaire was able to land a straight punch and knock Rigondeaux to the canvas. But, a lot of people thought that could be the turning point in the fight. But Rigondeaux got up, got back to his feet, got back on his game plan, and controlled the remainder of the fight. But after the fight itself, I really didn't like Donaire's excuses and what he had to say. He gave props to Rigondeaux. Rigondeaux gave props to Donaire. But the post-fight itself, he was complaining about his shoulder injury and stuff like that. I didn't like that too much. But what can I say? Excuses. But, you know, he still gave Rigondeaux his props. But more than likely, he's going to move up to the move up in division to 126. He expressed his interest to take on Rigondeaux, but, you know, he's not expecting it for, you know, to take place right away. But I heard a lot of boos. I heard a lot of boos from both fighters itself. Rigondeaux itself, he put on a good performance, but a lot of fans just didn't like the fact that he didn't brawl with Nonito. He just outboxed Nonito, so he really didn't win too many fans on that. But he holds both of the titles, you know, and he is considered the best 122-pound fighter in the world itself. But anyways, what's next for Donaire? Donaire is going to move up in weight more than likely. He's going to move up in weight to the 126, and he's definitely going to have surgery on his right shoulder. He was complaining on his right shoulder, but get that surgery done, get rid of that excuse, and let's see what's going on. A lot of people say that Donaire got exposed. There was really nothing much to expose because a lot of fighters out there are not going to fight like Rigondeaux itself. A lot of fighters cannot be disciplined enough to go ahead and carry on that whole entire fight like Rigondeaux did. So, do I think Nonito Donaire is done? Absolutely not. I think Donaire he'll learn from this. He can bounce back from it. Would I like to see a rematch? You know, I like to see Donaire move up in weight. But Rigondeaux itself, I'll go ahead and watch a rematch. But I really couldn't see any other outcome like tonight itself. You know, Rigondeaux, if they were to fight again, I just don't see it. You know, the way his style and his technique is itself is just going to give Donaire, his style itself is going to give Donaire problems. But anyways, guys, this is Kenneth, SBM Boxing. Friend request, subscribe. Let me know what you guys think. You think Donaire, Rigondeaux should be 2? Should be their second fight? Do you think Donaire, how do you think Donaire is going to do in the 126 weight division? What's next for Rigondeaux? You think Bob Arum is going to have problems? You know, yeah, he pulled off the victory. He's going to have problems marketing this guy. He don't have too much of a fan base himself. From a business aspect, that shit sucks. But anyways, guys, this is Kenneth, SBM Boxing. Friend request, subscribe. Leave your feedback. Have a good one.